two of Married, there's a bunch of changes. Russ has a new job. Lena has a new job. Less financial problems, but other problems that come from the way work affects your marriage.
That's the only changes? We've been hinted that there might be new characters.
Yes, another change. That's a good one. Yes. One of the changes from season 2 is we've added Sarah Burns. She plays Abby, who is someone who is teaching alongside Lena, Judy Greer's character, and she develops a romance with AJ, Brett Gelman's character.
Are we going to meet Russ and Lena's parents?
Are we going to meet Russ and Lena's parents? This season, we meet Lena's mother and stepfather, and we also meet Russ's mother.
And what are they like?
I don't know. They don't see anything, no scripts or anything.
They haven't seen anything, no.
Okay.
They're also under embargo until the week before.
Got it. Russ has a very complicated relationship with his mother, and Lena has to referee it. And Russ's mother is played by Joanna Cassidy, who is just incredible. Rock and roll.
What's a post-rehab AJ like?
What is post-rehab AJ like? He is still very much AJ. He is still the same narcissist and obsessive, compulsive type person who can make anything about himself. He's flailing a little out of rehab. He tries to return to work, and that doesn't go so well. So he's looking for new ways to occupy himself. Helping other people. Some people who don't really want to be helped, he's trying to help them anyway. So he's continuing to be an agent of destruction, even though he is sober.
He's just one of those people he tries to help? Or?
No.
Inspiration.
Yes.
Can you tell us like some of the stories that you either get from either personal experience or from people you know, and what has kind of been the feedback from married people around you?
Okay, a couple questions. How much of it is inspired by my personal life and the other people that I know? Great deal. The pilot kind of came out of some of the conversations my wife and I were having, where I started doing some arithmetic about how many more times we would have sex before I died. And from there, we just went into more personal material. And at first, my wife really resisted it, and this year she actually joined us in the writer's room and consulting on stories. And it was really fun for the writers because they would hear us having these arguments and be taking notes in the room. And it was really fun. It was really good for my relationship with my wife, too, because I before was only seeing her in the morning when she's a general and not so nice because she's like getting the kids out the door and, moving the trains. And at night when she was exhausted, and neither of those people are super cool, but like my midday wife is awesome. Like when she would come in to the office for a couple hours, sit in the room and be with other adults, so it's been really good for our marriage. In terms of the writers that I hire, unless these are people who are willing to talk about their personal life, I'm not interested. I don't care about people making stuff up. I like stories that are inspired by real things.
The dialogue on your show feels like you literally go down to like the Starbucks or one of the coffee beans and actually just hold a tape recorder out and record these conversations and then write them into scenes.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That's such a nice thing to say.
Realism there.
One, and this gets back to your question as well, Angela, which is the comment that I get the most about the show is people say, it sounds like you bugged our bedroom. It sounds like you bugged our living room. This is the exact conversation. This is the exact fight. This is the exact drama that is happening in my family right now. And other people have also told me that they watch the show with their spouse and then they have the argument that they haven't yet had. Like the thing that they're not talking about, suddenly they see the episode and they start talking about it. So that's also been a very nice compliment to get.
One nice thing about Lena and Russ is that even though they argue, you don't really have the sense that their marriage is in jeopardy.
Right.
Is that a conscious decision that you want them to have this secure relationship?
Well, I
even
mean,
through their insecurities?
When you've been married for a long time, you're not as nice to that person as you are to a stranger. And you're willing to be blunt with them and express your emotion to them in a way that you wouldn't with someone else. And there's something very liberating about that. I don't have to pretend to be anyone else around my wife. I can say the thing that I actually feel in a direct way. Having to hold those feelings in around the rest of the world is exhausting.
One of the things I noticed in watching the show is that there is not a bad actor in the crowd. This is an amazing stable of actors you've got to lose.
We are going to change that. We're going to add some bad actors.
Bad actors?
Yes.
Okay.
That is
Good
part of our
enough.
plan.
No, but, how much do they bring to it, or is it all in the writer's room?
Well, you're asking me about the actors. And the thing I'll say about the actors on this show is that everybody can do intense, serious, real, natural, dramatic acting, but also be hilarious while doing it. And usually you have two kinds of actors. You have people who are dramatic actors, you have people who are comedic actors. And I'm really proud of the cast we put together and how effortlessly they go back and forth between the natural drama and being hilarious.
Yeah, it is. It's really surprising. What kind of comedic beats are you looking for, generally, when you guys are breaking a story?
What kind of comedic beats are we looking for when we break a story? I think we want something that is the thing that you know. What's a good way to say this? The thing that you haven't realized is funny yet. The thing that bothers you and annoys you and you've seen, but you didn't realize it was funny yet. And in the room, we when we realize we have this common experience, that's where, that's a thing that hasn't been talked about yet.
Since we're shooting today, or you're shooting, we're not doing anything. But since you're shooting,
Isn't this something? Aren't we here?
Since you're shooting over in the design center today,
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about? We understand that you do all your stuff on location. There's no studio that you go to, so you're in a different place every time. What's the challenge of that for you? What do you like about it? What do you dislike? And how is this particular set to you?
Well, let me just start by saying that I'm an idiot. And this was one of the most difficult things that anybody could do, and I don't know why I did it. And what I mean by that is we have 13 episodes this year. There are ostensibly 13 separate short films where we go only to practical locations, and there's no primary set. We're just everywhere all the time, and it's exhausting. Why did I do it? I come from the feature film world, and that's how I did things in feature films, and I wanted them to feel like movies and be as natural as possible. And I think there is a trend right now of filmmaker-driven television where you have the Louis and the girls, and you have these people who want to, Jill Soloway, where they're bringing like a filmmaker vision to a series, and that's something. And I love Mike White and Enlightened, and I was like, that's what I want to do in television, is bring kind of a filmmaker vision to it.
Oh, and in this particular set, just want to put thing about working here and that space.
One of the reasons why we chose this set, working in this particular space today, is we wanted to give Russ a new job where he had a design job, he had a hip job where it was making him more money, but suddenly this guy who sees himself still as a very young man finds himself the adult in the room and trying to hold on to something that is gone. And that's kind of a reoccurring theme in the show.
Well, so Russ has a job and so does Lena in
Yes.
season 2. So the money thing seems to be sort of taken out of the equation, which was that big part of season 1.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know anyone who, no matter how much money they make, if they have a family, that they're not living, that it's still an issue.
So
it's just a different kind of issue. It's not an issue of survival or, it's a different type of issue is what I would say.
So what are some of the other issues that they're going to be dealing with?
Well, one of the issues that we're dealing with is adult friendship. I know that for so many years, friends were the most important part of my life. And now that I have a career and I have 3 children and I have a wife, family, work, friendship. And I can only have friends who don't distract me from those other 2 things. And I've had to start cutting them. And that's one of the things that we're exploring this year is how do you maintain friendships when those are more taxing than your work or family obligations?
seems like, again, there's an importance of that, not just in marriage, but these relationships outside of that.
Well, you're asking me about the equation of love in the show, and one thing that is so great is that this cast, Nat, Judy, and Brett, and now adding Sarah, they truly love each other. And you can feel it. Like, Nat and Judy have such chemistry together. They really enjoy being with each other. When the cameras are not rolling, they are joking around in exactly the same way. And it's really fun to see.
So would you say that's an essential part of the storytelling, though?
Do you want me to say that? Because I'll say it if you want me to.
Well, no, I'm just curious how important it is when you're depicting these kinds of natural stories. If you want to, again, put an emphasis on the undercurrent of love, or if you want to put an emphasis on the friction of the relationship, creating barriers.
One of the things that I told the actors very early on is if it says in the script, fuck you, it means I love you. And we can't say fuck on FX, but you know what I'm saying. It's like, that's the intention. I made that up. I never said that, but it sounds like a good quote. What's that? Adding Kaneko. Yes, big fan. Saw her in, what was it, the prison show. Orange is the New Black, and in Broad City. Was such a big fan. Wanted to add a character of Russ's assistant. Just because, my personal experience was like, I always had girlfriends, and I got married, and then later I had an assistant, and I was like, oh my God, if I just had one of these, I don't know if I would have needed all those other things that I had before that. And I just kind of wanted to explore what it's like to have somebody who is like, their job is taking care of your every needs versus having a partner and kind of the triangulation of that relationship, of those relationships. Yeah.
Is there any friction there with Lena?
Not on the leaders. Kameko's character of Miranda does create some complications for Russ in his marriage, I would say.
Well, I love in the season 1 finale how at the very end how you managed to it kind of left off in an upbeat. We were also talking about death fantasies.
Yeah.
How did you manage to do that? I thought that was amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I don't know. I mean, that is my sense of humor. I like to joke about terrible things. So does my wife. We spend a lot of our time doing that.
And what about Jess and Shep? The scene that we're going to see. I know we're not seeing as much of this coming season.
I don't want to give too much away, but there are some explosive scenes between Jess and Shep this year.
Are there any taboos? I mean, this is FX. They allow pretty great dramas. And they like cross the lines a little bit.
Are there any taboos? I mean, I'm sure there are. We have not dealt with them. There hasn't been anything where FX has said, no. And sometimes told us to push it. Yeah.
What would be an example of that?
But they told us to push it? I can't remember a specific example. I think it was an overall note, just to continue to kind of push it. But I don't remember if there was one specific thing they told us to push. But no, haven't really. Maybe there's been a line here and there that they said was in bad taste, but nothing just where we couldn't touch an area, I mean, we're dealing with like this year we're dealing with I don't know. I don't want to give away too much.
Well,
Yeah.
they are under embargo, and
Yeah.
they know the rules of spoilers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to tease anything, they're not.
We are dealing with some edgier stuff this year. I mean, senior rape is one of them we have this year.
That qualifies. That's the one who's going to
That's one of my favorites episodes this year. But anyway, that was not. We didn't get any blowback on that. Yeah.
So last year we went out through Halloween and we got a Halloween episode. Are we going to
Yes.
do holiday episodes like Christmas, Thanksgiving?
We have a Thanksgiving episode, but it's not really on Thanksgiving because Lena's mother they go to visit Lena's mother, and she has early stages of dementia and thinks it's Thanksgiving, so they decide to celebrate it with her. That's a holiday episode, and we have a Mother's Day episode as well, I believe.
Well, you finished season 1. Were you already okay for season 2 at that point? So did you know
No,
how you wanted
no, I didn't, but I have one other thing that I want to say about holiday. Yeah, the Mother's Day episode is actually inspired by what happened with my wife last Mother's Day, which is she was very disappointed with me and my daughters and how we were behaving, and she took off and said, "Fuck you guys, I'm out of here." And we had a motherless Mother's Day last year, so that's something we're exploring.
So she probably had a great Mother's Day.
She did. She really did. She got to try on clothes with no one bothering her, so she dug it. Sorry.
that you didn't know?
I didn't know anything, no. So I went in it, which is a little different. This year, I'm kind of feeling, look, who the hell knows, but I'm feeling a little more confident. Last year, I was like, this may be it. I got to do everything. So that's why I did the death fantasies.
Do you ever get feedback from like marriage counselors about the show? 'Cause it seems like the show's very prophetic from a lot of levels for marriage.
I have not gotten any feedback from marriage counselors.
Yeah.
But I would, if I could parlay this into a career like that, where I could help counseling people, that would be great. I think maybe I should get a half hour on FX afterwards, where I just talk to couples. Yeah.
Yeah, you have like the
I think that would be a great
after the
companion show
show.
where I just kind of help
Talk
couples
marriage.
work it out. I'm just trying to help.
I'll get Landgraf on the phone.
Yeah, thank you.
What's Lena like at her job?
What is she like at her job? Well, this is kind of inspired by my wife as well. As my wife started teaching, but she's just not that into kids, you know? And what she told me, like after doing it for a couple weeks, she said, what she said, it's so good, and we have a version of it she said, I love one kid, I like 4, I hate 11. That's what my wife told me.
Good life math, actually.
Yeah.
That applies to a lot of situations.
Yeah.
So she, but the important thing is she makes a new best friend in Abby, and that was something we didn't really have last year. So, you know, it gives her somebody who she can kind of talk to and check in with about what's going on in her life.
And have inappropriate conversations in front of small children.
Something like that, yeah.
How hard was it to cast the kids for this show? I would imagine it would have been interesting.
Well, this is such a hard thing to talk about because it's unpleasant. I don't love casting children because you are also casting parents. And that part of the job is not fun because you have to talk to the parents, you have to know kind of what's going on in their home because it becomes complicated for you. So there's a part of me that wishes I never had to act with another child again just so I didn't have to get involved with their parents and how they're parenting. And, you know, as a parent, it's very hard because you don't want to be making a kid work that doesn't really want to be working. So, I don't know. I don't love that part of it. I'd love to say something positive about the kids on this show, but I hate that part of the show business. I absolutely hate it.
Well, kids on your show do seem like they're well cast.
Well, here's what I'll say. That Rachel Eggleston, the girl who plays Maya, is such an incredible actress. And she can hold her own with Nat and Judy and improvising. And sometimes, like, she'll be in a scene with Raven as well, you know, the one who plays Ella. And she will improv, and then she'll give an ad-lib to her sister. I mean, she's just a powerhouse. And it's been great working with those girls. I really do love them. Yep.
Is the show kind of a cautionary tale for singles?
Here's what I will say, is that I do think that this show is a great advertisement for birth control. I don't know, because these issues that I have in my marriage, I didn't have before I had children. You know what I mean? Like, I had a really pretty easy marriage, and I was married for like 5 years, and I was with my wife another 5 years before that. All our issues became complicated when she became stretched, and I started getting I went from, you know, getting 40% of her attention to getting 4, you know?
Oh, nobody feels sorry for you.
What'd you say?
Nobody feels sorry for
No, I'm not saying that anyone should feel sorry for me. I'm just saying, like, I don't think that the show says anything about that it's bad to be married, but I could see how if you have a house full of kids, you know, it's hard. Yeah.
Is AJ still carrying a torch for Roxanne, or is that something he tries to move past?
He is not. This year, we're not dealing with his feelings about Roxanne. This is